This is a video for getting started with Fusion 360 as far as creating new sketches, grid spacing, and views. So I want you to notice that I've just gone ahead and loaded Fusion 360 like I'm going to make a new part. And the first thing that I want to do is save the object, and I'm just going to go ahead and call this, I'll just call this a test part. And I'm going to go ahead and say save. And you'll notice that we automatically have a name of the actual object. You're going to notice it took a second for this over here to from untitled to the actual name of the part. This is going to be version 1 is what that will mean. So as we go through, you'll notice that we have some tabs over here on the left hand side. We have document settings, we have name views, and we have our origin tab, which is similar to Autodesk Inventor. If you're going from Inventor to Fusion, you're going to see a lot of similarities in this particular folder. First thing we want to do is go to units, and if we just leave our mouse up around units, you're going to see a little pencil right here. Let's just change the active units, and we can come over and change to whatever units we are currently designing in. For the sake of this video, we're just going to go ahead and stay in inch. So if I come up to create a new sketch, and I'm going to click on a plane, I could also come over and click on any of these planes we see over here, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to choose the XY plane. You will notice that we have our grid set up, and we just have all of our major grid spacing in inch increments, and we have our minor grid spacing in quarters of inches. Now if I wanted to change that, I can go to grid and grid spacing and go to grid settings. And notice I have major grid spacing here at 1 inch. For the sake of discussion, let's just say I said, you know what, I'm going to do 5 inches and my 51 inches. I don't want that. I want in minor subdivisions. I could say, you know what, I want 10, and we can do 10 minor grids and say OK. And when I come up to draw a line, you're going to notice when I drag up, or if I zoom out here, you're going to automatically see that I have 5, 10, and 15 automatic snaps. They're going to go in every 5 inches is 1 increment. So kind of as I zoom out here, you can see how they've given me those increments. I was a little zoomed in before with the 1 inch. Now that I zoom out, I can actually see each of those increments. So as I zoom around here, you can see as I take my mouse, it's going to keep going and give me more and more increments to work with. If I don't want those numbers on the screen, I can, after I get done placing my line here, I can go in and take those numbers off if I wish. So if I go to grid settings and I say take away the reference numbers, I can do that. I can also go to something called adaptive, and it'll automatically kind of adapt to whatever line that I'm drawing. If I don't and I want to stay in the fixed, I can just go ahead and keep that grid spacing. So if I come in and I say, you know what, never mind, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to go with, 1 inch, and obviously it's going to give us a lot more inches here. And if I say, no, I want 4 for my increment spacing, when I zoom in, you're going to notice this line obviously is going to take up a lot more of that grid spacing. I'm going to right click on this line and I'm going to delete it. And as I zoom in, I'm going to go back down to my grid settings and I'm going to turn back on those reference numbers. So the reference numbers can kind of give me an idea of what I'm working with when I draw something or I sketch something. So kind of to give you an idea, based on what your design is and how big it is, you can change your reference numbers as you work. Now for the sake of this video, I'm going to go in and just create for myself a rectangle here. And let's do a 3x2 rectangle, and I'm going to say finish sketch. And I want to right click and I'm going to go up to press and pull. And if I come up to my house, pressing and pulling is very similar to extruding in Inventor, where I'm going either direction. In this case, I'm going to go a distance of 2 inches. And I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to go ahead and click on my house button. Now as far as named views go, your named views are going to go right along with your view cube. So I can just double click over here and just go directly to any of the views that I want. And my home view automatically is going to give me my isometric view. But let's say for the sake of discussion that I want this view right here to be over in my named views that I can just click on. We can right click on named views and go to new named view. And I'm going to call this named view here second ISO. And I'm going to hit enter. And automatically I can come over and go, let's go to my top, and I'm going to go, let's go back to my second ISO and look at that back, and you can see it. And you notice the difference between that and my home view. And we can name views and just go through them that way. The other thing you'll notice about Fusion 360 that's similar to Inventor is we have the same visual styles area. We have the same ability for mesh displays, changing the environments, putting shadows and planes on objects. Like it's always kind of neat to go put in a shadow once you get into putting in a plane. There's all different ways you can do things. You can change the number of views that you have as far as seeing everything in multiple screens here. So if I change one view on one object, if I go in with the with the pencil, and on this object right here I'm going to draw a circle, and if I can just go ahead and say okay with this, and I'll just try to press and pull that area. I'm going to come out to here and go press pull. And you can see, even over in this view, I can start dragging up and say okay, and automatically I can see that in 4 different views. Come back to my single view, come back to my second ISO, and I can change my view space however I wish as I go. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a heads up as far as how to change the units, how to change your grid spacing, and some of the basic elements of the workspace in Fusion 360.